Good day, BookTube. It's been a while since I've done a video again. I did one not too long ago, really, just talking about where I was kind of up to and how I was feeling about the channel and such. So I won't bore you with that again. So if you want to know about that, you can go back and see that it's only a short 10, 12-minute video or something like that. But I just wanted to, whilst the vibe was going around of 2026 aspirations and this, that, and the other, I've really not set the bar too high. I'm just trying to get through the books I can, and I think I've said previously as well that I'm in a different space. Either I've just not come across the content creators, or there's not time, simply, to be in the position in which I've got young children, a household to run, full-time job, and then trying to read as prolifically as I can when I can. So yeah, it's been a interesting reading journey the last little while. I think I've shared, I've not shared it on BookTube, but I've shared it on Goodreads, checking my updates. So, at my wife's recommendation, I read Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, which has been my first introduction to the romantasy genre, or as it's somewhat more crudely called, cliterature, which is a bit of a tricky thing to say. And I don't know, I'm still processing the story. Like, I enjoyed the story. The story itself was quite good. It feels like the authors backed themselves into a corner. So without some, what's the word? The phrase. Is it Deus Ex Machina or whatever it is? Some type of God in the machine type moment where there's just a MacGuffin or whatever the phrase. There are many phrases for it. I can't remember what it is, but basically it's just something needs to fix the story that I don't think will happen naturally. So whether I'll pursue it, because I think there's two more. It's meant to be a quintet, so I don't know whether I'll pursue it with the other two more. But following that, I should get it down, but I'm already sat on the floor, so I can't be bothered. The Tolkien Treasury. So I just finished The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, which was mainly verse and some background. And then whilst I was in that vein, I'd also seen, as I shared in a post the other day, a playlist put together by a YouTube member called Manny, who didn't seem to have any videos of their own, but had put together a playlist, quite thankfully, of Steve Donahue's what's he call it? Bass Ackwards read through of The Lord of the Rings, where he starts with the Two Towers, then does the Return of the King, and then finishes with the Fellowship of the Ring. But thankfully to Manny, so thanks again, has put it in sequential order. So that's how I've been spending my time. So at the moment, I am chugging my way through my. What did I say it was? I said it in the post in 19 something. It was published, not published, printed. Yeah, so this paperback edition published in 1995. I didn't buy it then, I don't think, because I would only. Maybe I did actually. I would have been. No, I would have been 9. I definitely would have bought The Lord of the Rings when I was 9. Maybe a few years after that, I actually bought the book, but I am. Where am I up to? I am on page 346. We're at the Mirror of Galadriel, and yeah, I'm just thoroughly enjoy. Oh, sorry, I have no sense of framing whatsoever. That's how out of sorts I am with making videos. I'm just really enjoying it, and obviously having Steve as a guide to go through it is quite good. So I've been in dialogue with him at his face on screen while he's been making various points I've usually tended to agree with about the nature of the story so far, what's happening in certain scenes, and it's very enjoyable. It's an interesting difference of doing a buddy read of sorts, where the bigger participant has already done their bit, so it's very interesting to say the least. So yeah, so this will be. I've nearly read the Fellowship of the Ring. I think it's 2 chapters after this, so that'll be 1 book down for the year so far to count towards the overall number, I suppose, if I'm doing it that way, which I might, because having read 3 books instead of 1 is just better volume wise, psychologically. Then I think I'd also said in my post, no, I said in a comment, sorry, on Steve Donahue's Japanuary uh, video, but he didn't post for some reason, that I'm going to try and carry on with my reading of The Angry Young Men. So I'll just talking out the way for a second. So in no particular order, I acquired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 more Angry Young Men books to get through. So first out of those will be Alan Silito's The Death of William Posters, or Posters. I haven't actually heard it said, so I don't know if it is posters or posters. But as you can see, obviously, author of Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, which is Alan's main book, and it says book 1, obviously, of the William Posters trilogy. So it deals with what did it say? It was Nottingham. I think it was a Nottingham factory worker called Frank, and then it's followed by 2 other books. But obviously, this one is I think it was 1965. Again, I should be better prepared. Better prepared. What does it say? This published by Grafton in 1986, year I was born, which is nice. So this is nearly a 40-year-old book. First published by 1965. So that is my intro into a potential trilogy by Alan Silito. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Following this, we have Stan Barstow, Ask Me Tomorrow, which I think this was a 1960s book, and it is it a sequel itself? I can't remember if it is an actual direct sequel, but I read Stan Barstow's A Kind of Loving, which I really enjoyed. So hopefully this will be my second foray into Stan Barstow. So I'm hoping for good things again, because like I say, sorry, I should actually elaborate on the fact that the Angry Young Men movement is a informal lumping together of certain post-World War II authors, and it kind of mainly deals with elements of class, social mobility, education, aspiration, kind of a jealousy, I suppose, is kind of an element, a bit of a driving force, that keeping up with the Joneses, or wanting what others have that you feel you should be intended to. And it's wild to me, because a load of the Angry Young Men authors were wildly successful at the time, and had, as a case in point, will be with this next one. So we have John Wayne's The Contenders, and as you can see on the front there, the smaller text says Keith Drinkle, Jocelyn Sbarth, and Victor Henry as they appear in the Granada television production of John Wayne's novel. So there's loads of adaptations. Sorry, this is from 1958, so slightly older than the other ones in terms of publication date. But this is Robert Lamb and Ned Roper lived to outdo one another. It had been friendly rivalry at school in the potteries, but age gave an edge to the competition between the passionate artist and the calculating businessman. Dead heating in the success stakes, two fought it out over a woman, and amiable Joe Shaw was left to pick up the bits. Yeah, so The Contenders is a Granada television production starring the 3 mentioned, adapted and produced by Dennis Wolfe, directed by Graham Evans. So, it's crazy. There's just it just seems wild to me that there's so much happens and then goes out of the way. Next, we have the only non-fiction book of the Angry Young Men I own at the moment. I believe that's the case. So this is Colin Wilson's The Outsider. So this is from 56, and it's to do with Wilson exploring basically the psyche of what it means to be an outsider. So let's see, in this new introductory essay, no, that's just sorry, this is just rubbish. As it surveys the iconography of the iconoclasts from Babus to Camus, looks back at Dostoevsky and Tolstoy to Blake and Nietzsche, Wilson's masterpiece will make as profound an impact on the 70s as on the duffel-coated and disaffected years of the Angry Young Men. So a series of essays, so 2 decades after The Outsiders burst upon a puzzled, confused post-war world, Wilson's superb, acclaimed and damned bestseller for the thinking man makes a freshly relevant appeal to another generation. So who knows, there might be some pearls of some type of wisdom there, because I don't know, I suppose apart from on BookTube where there is a sense of community, I think a lot of readers feel that type of insularity sometimes, or which you are a bit of the outsider, because it's not exactly, I would say reading's frowned upon. Like I tend to travel by public transport. I know a lot of people reading, but there are more people on their phone. It seems to be the dying pastime of the two things. Next, we have a sequel, which is Keith Waterhouse's Billy Liar on the Moon. I love Keith Waterhouse. I think Keith Waterhouse is just hilarious. So this is well after the event of the usual stuff. So this is, I think he's 75. This was published, and it's basically to do with Billy Liar. Well, obviously got Billy Fisher, but he basically just has a bit of a run-of-the-mill life, but lives in a fantasy world. So it's Billy Liar, and again, that was adapted into, I'm sure it was a film. But all these things are just gone. Fleeting popularity. So on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 3 more to go. The next one is a potentially failed attempt at a certain style of fiction, as I understand it, but I'm still interested anyway. So this is The Voda by John Brain. Yes, it's from 1959, I think he said. But obviously, John Brain wrote. Well, in fact, I'll show the next one as well, because that ties in with it. So John Brain did Room at the Top, where you meet Joel Lampton, and then we have Life at the Top, which is a continue as I said, continued stories, and then Hero of the TV's popular series Man at the Top. So there was a TV show about this book. It's just crazy to me. But yeah, so from the Voda, if you can see that on the back, that's a bit small actually, so I'll just read it. From Room at the Top, in which aggressive Joe Lampton sought to crown insecurity with success, John Brain goes on in The Voda to depict a man's life and death struggle with despair. Bereft of his mother, struck down by tuberculosis, betrayed by his sweetheart, Dick Corvey has no will to live. In his mind, he regresses to an unhealthy boyhood fantasy, originally suggested by a dominating friend, about the Voda and their leader Nellie, a sort of fat and malignant Hecate. As he lies in the sanatorium, the personality of one of his nurses can do no more for him than drugs. So I really have no idea. The plaudits seem good. A good novel, realistic, sharp and humane, Sunday Times. Grand and convincing, the Daily Express. The work of a real writer, the Daily Telegraph. The Voda increases his stature, the Times. So, something to be known there at some time. Then we've got another foray of mine into, does this say, the other works published by him? Yes, so we've got Present Times by David Story, which I might need to do a bit of repair work on, because there's some type of scuff there in the dust jacket, but at the moment it's solid. But obviously David Story, I think, more famous for Savile, which I think he won the Booker, which he won the Booker Prize for, and This Sporting Life, which I think really got his name on the map. But I've also read by him Flight into Camden, Radcliffe, which was a very surreal homosexual story. Passmore was really good. Temporary Life was good. So I'm looking forward to reading Present Times as well. So I've got 3, arguably 1 Tolkien to definitely get through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more from The Angry Young Men. Obviously I have a cube on the other side of the bookcase of TBR books. I was, until I got sidetracked by the Rebecca Yarros. I made like a first few pages start of The Loved One by Evelyn Waugh, but got sidetracked by that completely. I made a first few pages interest into Warren Ellis's Trees, Volume 1, so I've got, crack on with that a bit. And yeah, so for now I've got aspirations, and I will chip away at them. And that'll be it for now, BookTube, I think. Thank you for stopping by.